I'll try to speak loud so you guys can hear outside. But let's see. What else do I have to say? Yeah. So this show really came about with me wanting to show the wonder, witness the wonder. So I was both a witness to wonder that other people were experiencing, as well as wanting to be a witness to others for that wonder. And although all of these photos were taken in California, I have been able to witness wonder all over, in Iowa, California, wherever you go. I believe that this is something that isn't inherent to one specific place, but can be anywhere. This could be wonder of a place, it could be of a landscape. There's some beautiful landscapes where I was and out here and kind of wherever you're noticing and really looking for it. But another thing that I really wanted to focus on through this show was the wonder of people. And seeing your neighbor and the inherent worth that they are. So as you'll notice, all of these photos, even if there's an environment around them, the center is the person. And that's kind of the core of my show a little bit, is just witnessing those people and truly taking the time to stop and notice them for who they are. I believe that all things that are truly inherently beautiful come from God, and that all people have inherent worth because of their Creator. And it's important to take that time to really reflect and slow down and really witness people and the world around you for the wonder that they are, and to look forward to the new creation that is to come. Yeah, I think that is what the main point that I want you guys to go away with. So with that, what questions do you guys have for me?
While looking through your photos over the summer, did you notice your editing style change or what you were looking for change? I'm just kind of wondering if your creative eye while taking photos or after taking them and sifting through what you noticed and what stood out to you.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the summer, I was kind of just like figuring it out on the go. So I would take lots of photos and a lot of them didn't turn out. I was experimenting with editing from the very beginning, but about 1 or 2 weeks in, I would say, I think I found that like secret sauce to make these pictures really pop. Through my editing, I really wanted to capture the vibrancy and the excitement of camp, whether it was through the kids or through the parents or the grandparents. That was my main goal. And through selecting these photos, I would say what I was really looking for was the lighting. Lighting has always been something that's I love it so much. Like, I wanted the ones that like felt like they were glowing. That was something I would look for even being behind the camera in that moment. So yeah, I would say a lot of it was in the moment, trying to find those angles, looking for a different kind of avenue besides just, oh, there's some people playing, let me just take a picture. Like trying to really find that angle that really captures the spark of it. In post, I also cropped some of them a little bit just so the composition was really tight. But yeah, overall, I think it was a good combination of both in the moment looking for those things that would make that photo really work, and then in post kind of touching it up. But yeah, the core of them all is that these are real moments that were happening, and I just happened to be able to capture it. Nothing's posed, nothing is edited in post, like no like people are scrubbed out, or besides some coloring and contrast levels, everything else is completely untouched.
Did you notice that you had any photos that were like, oh my gosh, what was going on this day? Because you had like a majority of your photos or a vast number of photos from one specific day. Because I know you were there for the whole summer, but it was just like, looking at these, I see like a lot of pool and a lot of playing motifs, and so I was wondering if it was just like, wow, God really is working here.
Yeah, I'd say some of these photos came like during 1 week. Others are just from throughout the whole summer. Honestly, I can't even remember when I took half of these. I took so many. I kind of just tagged them all into like their organization. So software and just put them away. And then the ones that were my favorites, I'd save to my personal library. But yeah, there were definitely days when I felt that the pictures were working a lot better than other days. There were some days when I'm like, well, you know, these families will get pictures of their faces, but I'm not super happy with them. But overall, I'd say I was pretty happy with how the majority of them turned out. Go on.
So, a lot of times when people are prepping for a senior project or exhibit, they are working throughout the year on the work.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to the school year with the work done.
Mm-hmm.
And having seen you go through the process of trying to make your selections, that was incredibly difficult for you. Can you talk a little bit about why that was so difficult, or the kinds of things that you were trying to weigh back and forth between photos that didn't make the cut and ones that did?
Yeah. So originally, I've known the title of my show for like more than a year. This actually, my Instagram bio since I think my senior year of high school has been a witness to the wonders. So I've always had this phrase in the back of my mind. But originally for the photos, I was thinking of combining digital with film, like Mount Hermon with stuff I took here, literally everything. The main thing that I wanted was that they were all candid or like street photography, pictures of people. So I came into the school year having already completed all of these photos, but at the time I thought that I would be taking a lot more, and I did. I took a bunch on film. I borrowed my dad's film camera, I borrowed one of Dort's film cameras, and then I also took some digitally, but it was hard to really capture photos that would work cohesively with these ones. Another thing is, I was getting paid to take photos of these people, and they knew I was there for that reason. It's a lot harder to take candid photos of people in like a public space where they're not expecting a camera to be, and a lot of people are uneasy about that, which I completely understand. So it was just an interesting dynamic to figure out how I was going to fill this gallery. So it was honestly in the last couple weeks leading up to installment when I decided, you know what? I think I'm just going to use photos from the summer. And as soon as I made that decision, it felt like the right one, because they were all so vibrant and bright and captured that childlike wonder really well, and it just all made sense. From these ones, I don't know, every day I took a lot of photos, but thankfully because of my sorting method, I was able to already have some of them organized. But it did take a lot of I went to the library quite a few times and printed out all of these photos on just the library printer paper and just laid them all out on 4 tables in the library. I probably looked like a mad woman. And I was just scribbling and yeah, I guess so, but in the library it's not normally where they're used to seeing us, I guess. But I was writing on all of them, putting them next to each other. So that selection process took quite a few hours. But in the end, I think I came up with these. I think there's around 18 or 20, and I think they work really well together, and I'm happy where they landed.
Do you have a favorite?
Ooh, good question. My favorite has honestly shifted by the day, but my sister actually asked me this I think earlier today, and I think my favorite is actually Hands and Feet. It's over there. But the reason that one's my favorite, it might not be the most vibrant or pop, in your face picture, but when I took that picture, it was a moment right after Messy Day where these kindergartners are covering themselves in colored shaving cream and blowing bubbles, and it's this happy time, and then at the end they have to wash up. And while I was taking this picture, that girl, the blonde girl on the right, started washing the other girl's hands. And that just really stuck with me. It reminded me of the story in the Bible where Jesus washes his disciples' feet. And this is, I'm not putting any sort of inference on this, but her shirt does say Jesus on it. Which I noticed later. So I think that one is my personal favorite.
Julia, I love hearing the nuances and the stories behind single shots like this. And I think you probably have hundreds of these stories from that experience at camp. I wonder, and I think we've talked about this a little bit one-on-one, but building on Vaughn's question about making selection, are there people you're looking at, inspired by? Has it helped guide you in making those selections? Are there different artists or different ways of composing that you've looked at and taken inspiration from?
Let's see. One artist that I think has stood out to me a lot was not a photographer, but Norman Rockwell he painted a lot in the Saturday Evening Post, I think, but it was a lot of pictures of just normal American life, sometimes humorous, but he had that, there was something about it that feels very similar to a lot of these, where it's just like a moment and the expressions are so bright. So that's one that I've definitely compared some of these to. But honestly, a lot of these pictures just came from my own exploration. I don't know.
Yeah, and I would echo, I see a lot of Norman Rockwell in the way you compose active scenes.
Yeah.
But what I would say is distinct is you're doing something in a very fresh, it feels contemporary, it feels 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
Rockwell is 1940s, 1950s. It feels comfortable to the tradition of America and Americana. This is a different, fresh take on Americana. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you remember those references, because I feel like there's a lot of works that point to Rockwell, but they're fresh in a different way. And so I don't want to pretend like you've robbed Norman Rockwell's composition, but you've captured the spirit in a new medium, right? And something that Rockwell didn't really have access to. That's why he was painting feverishly every week. He was putting together a new painting. So yeah, I see it as well. I think it's nice.
I have one other question that I'm surprised I didn't ask all semester. Is the camp that you worked at aware of this work?
They are. I made sure to double check with them that this is okay. Yeah, I'm gonna send them a video, specifically the media team. I'm gonna send them a video of all of this, and I wrote in my acknowledgments thanking the media team, and then I was just reading it, and for some reason that paragraph isn't in there. So I don't know how that happened, but I'm very thankful for the Mount Hermon media team. We had lots of early mornings and late nights together, inspiring each other and lifting each other up, and they made the summer that much better. Other questions? If there's not any other questions, feel free to talk to me if you want the story behind any of these pictures. Feel free to fill out the guest book if you haven't already. Same with Logan's, it really lifts us up. And thank you so much for coming to both of our art shows tonight.
I have one more
You have one more
question,
thing.
but it's for both of you. And I should have asked first, are your works for sale?
I don't think mine are.
You don't think so.
They're-
So you could be convinced.
The thing is, since they're pictures of strangers,
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm gonna.
Wasn't intending on it, but maybe convinced if you have a good.
Money talks. Logan will sell if you have enough. You can be convinced. Julia, thank you. I understand. I appreciate it. I also want to mention there are refreshments at the other side of the Eckerd. Please do show your love to Logan. Show your love to Julia. Thank you guys for sharing tonight. And really good job. Phenomenal.